Have you ever wondered why some people can walk into a room and instantly command attention, while others go unnoticed? Why a simple smile, a tone of voice, or even the way you stand can make someone decide whether to trust you, respect you, or forget you in seconds? It all happens in a heartbeat, before words are spoken, before thoughts are processed. That moment is where the psychology of first impressions begins. For centuries, leaders, artists, diplomats, and visionaries have understood one truth. Connection is not luck, it's a skill. From the firmness of your handshake to the calmness in your eyes, every signal you send shapes how the world experiences you. In this audiobook, The Psychology of First Impressions, How to Connect Instantly and Leave a Lasting Mark, you'll uncover what truly makes someone memorable, not through manipulation or charm, but through authentic human psychology. Across 10 transformative chapters, we'll dive deep into how presence, authenticity, empathy, and expression work together to form your invisible signature, the silent story people feel when they meet you. You'll learn how to enter a room with quiet confidence, how to make others feel genuinely seen, and how to leave behind something much stronger than words, an emotional impression that lingers. Because in the end, connection is not about impressing others. It's about aligning who you are with how you make others feel. And when those two meet, you don't just make a first impression, you make a lasting one. So, take a deep breath. This is more than an audiobook. It's a personal transformation. You're about to discover how to connect instantly, communicate effortlessly, and leave your mark on every heart you meet. Before we dive in, we've noticed that most people who listen to our audiobooks never subscribe to the channel. So do me and yourself a favor. Like this video, share it with someone who's ready to grow, and subscribe to this channel so you never miss more empowering content designed to help you grow. Chapter 1: The Silent Language of First Impressions. Imagine walking into a room full of people you've never met before. You haven't said a word yet, but dozens of silent messages have already been sent about who you are. Your walk, your expression, the way you carry your shoulders, all of it tells a story. Before your voice ever reaches the air, your presence has already spoken. Scientists say it takes about 7 seconds for people to form a first impression. In those few seconds, the human brain makes hundreds of unconscious judgments about trustworthiness, competence, warmth, confidence, and even social status. This quick decision-making process is what psychologists call thin slicing, a concept made popular by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Blink, The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. Thin slicing refers to how our brains take small pieces of information, a glance, a smile, a tone, and make surprisingly accurate assumptions about a person's entire character. Now, this might sound unfair. After all, how can someone truly know you in 7 seconds? But the truth is, our brains evolved to make these snap judgments for survival. In ancient times, quick assessments could mean the difference between danger and safety. Today, that same mechanism still runs in our subconscious, scanning every face, posture, and gesture we encounter. The question is, are those 7 seconds working for you or against you? Let's take a real-world example. Think about Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. When she first appeared on the global stage, what stood out wasn't just her words. It was her composure, empathy, and calm energy. People described her as warm yet firm, approachable yet strong. That impression wasn't built from speeches or interviews alone. It came from how she carried herself, how she listened, and how she made others feel even in silence. That's the silent language of leadership, and it starts before any sound leaves your lips. The psychology behind first impressions. When you meet someone new, 2 questions instantly arise in their subconscious mind. Can I trust this person? Can I respect this person? Amy Cuddy, a Harvard social psychologist, studied this phenomenon deeply. She found that warmth and competence are the 2 core dimensions people use to judge others. If you appear cold or arrogant, even if you're highly skilled, people may not want to work with you. If you appear kind but unsure, people may like you but not follow you. The balance between warmth and confidence is the secret formula for powerful first impressions. This is why someone like Angela Merkel left such a distinct mark as a world leader. She wasn't the loudest voice in the room, but her calm confidence and gentle authority made people lean in when she spoke. Her silence had weight. Her presence commanded respect. And that's the power of someone who has mastered their nonverbal communication. The unspoken signals that speak loudly. Let's break down some of the silent cues that shape how people see you. 1. Posture. Your posture communicates confidence before your words do. Standing tall, shoulders relaxed, head up, these signals say, I'm comfortable in my skin. Meanwhile, slouched shoulders, folded arms, or restless movements send a message of insecurity or disinterest. 2. Eye contact. Maintaining natural eye contact builds trust instantly. It signals openness and sincerity. But too little eye contact feels evasive, and too much can come across as dominance or aggression. Balance is key. It's not about staring, but about connecting. 3. Facial expression. A genuine smile, one that reaches the eyes, releases oxytocin, and helps others feel at ease. Micro-expressions, those tiny, involuntary muscle movements, can reveal your true feelings faster than words. Even if you try to hide irritation or fear, your face whispers the truth. That's why self-awareness is so important. 4. Energy and presence. People don't just see you, they feel you. Your energy is the invisible aura you bring into a space. You've probably met someone who seemed calm, grounded, and magnetic without saying much. That's not luck. That's presence. The ability to be fully in the moment, centered, and emotionally aware. When you combine these elements, posture, eyes, expression, and energy, you send a unified message about who you are. And when that message aligns with authenticity, people trust you faster. How to control your silent introduction. Now let's turn this science into practice. Here's how you can master your silent introduction. The impression you make before you speak. Step 1. Center yourself before entering any space. Take a slow breath. Adjust your posture. Remind yourself that confidence isn't about proving something. It's about being present. Your internal state shapes your external presence. Step 2. Lead with warmth, not tension. When you meet new people, lead with genuine interest. A simple smile or a nod of acknowledgement sets a welcoming tone. Your goal isn't to impress, it's to connect. Step 3. Observe others. Great communicators are also great observers. Pay attention to how others stand, speak, and react. You'll mirror their comfort level naturally, which builds rapport and ease. Step 4. Use stillness to your advantage. Movement attracts attention, but stillness commands it. Don't rush your gestures or fidget. A composed posture signals self-control, and that earns silent respect. Step 5. Align your words with your energy. When you finally speak, let your tone match the confidence your body already projected. Your body and words should work together, not against each other. Key takeaways for you. First impressions happen fast, within 7 seconds. Your body speaks before your voice. Thin slicing is how people make subconscious judgments about you based on small cues. Nonverbal communication, posture, facial expression, eye contact, and presence are the real first words you speak. Warmth plus confidence equals the perfect balance for being liked and respected. Control your silent introduction by aligning your body language with calm self-awareness. Remember this. People may forget what you said, they may forget what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. That's what first impressions are all about. They're not built on perfection, but on presence. When your inner confidence aligns with outer calm, you don't just enter a room, you influence it. As we wrap up this chapter, think about the next time you meet someone new. Before you speak, pause, feel your feet on the ground, lift your head, breathe, and smile with intention. You're silently telling the world, I'm here, I see you, I belong. And that's a message people never forget. In the next chapter, we'll explore the power of presence, how to build that invisible confidence that draws people in effortlessly. But before you go, if you found value in this chapter, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us reach more people who are ready to grow, connect, and transform. So, take a deep breath, stand tall, and remember, people see who you are before they hear who you are. Chapter 2: The Power of Presence. Imagine walking into a room full of strangers. Conversations are buzzing, laughter echoes from the corners, and everyone seems busy with their own world. Then, suddenly, someone enters. The chatter softens just a little. Heads turn, not because this person is the loudest or the most physically striking, but because they carry something invisible, something magnetic. That something is presence. Presence is not about height, wealth, or even beauty. It's about the energy and confidence you bring into any room. It's the way your inner calm meets the outer world, and the world, in return, responds. The psychology of presence. Presence is deeply psychological. It's how people feel you before they hear you. Science tells us that our brains process nonverbal cues faster than words. Within a fraction of a second, others sense our mood, confidence, and emotional state. Researchers from Princeton University once found that people form first impressions in less than 1/10 of a second. That means before you even speak, your body has already told your story. So what is your story saying? Your posture, your breathing, your eye contact, all of these are quiet messengers of presence. If your body is tense and your breathing shallow, people sense nervous energy. But when you are grounded, calm, and comfortable in your own skin, others naturally trust and respect your energy. Presence is energy, not ego. Let's take a look at one of the most graceful examples of presence in modern history, Queen Elizabeth II. Whether standing before world leaders or citizens, her calm demeanor carried an unmistakable authority. She rarely raised her voice or demanded attention, yet her presence commanded it. Why? Because her composure and poise reflected self-assurance without arrogance. Presence is the opposite of trying too hard. It's not about dominating attention. It's about earning it effortlessly. You see, arrogance shouts. Presence whispers. Arrogance says, "Look at me." Presence says, "I see you." When you're fully grounded in yourself, you no longer chase validation. You radiate it. The science of calm. Presence begins with stillness, both internal and external. Think of your breathing as your power switch. When you breathe shallowly, your brain enters survival mode, making you anxious and scattered. But when you breathe deeply and slowly, you activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which calms your mind and slows your heartbeat. That calm becomes visible. It changes your facial expressions, your tone, even the way you move. If you've ever watched Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany, you've seen this in action. Her body language was grounded and minimal. She used pauses intentionally. Even under pressure, she maintained stillness, a silent statement that said, "I am in control." Calmness in presence is power. Because when others lose their composure, the calm person becomes the anchor everyone looks to. The body never lies. Your body language communicates truth before words can explain it. The great communication expert Amy Cuddy wrote in her book, Presence, bringing your boldest self to your biggest challenges, that standing in an open, expansive posture for just 2 minutes can increase feelings of confidence and reduce stress hormones like cortisol. So, before entering an interview, a meeting, or even a first date, take 2 minutes. Stand tall, breathe deeply, open your shoulders, and lift your chin slightly. This is not about vanity. It's about telling your brain, "I belong here." When you act confident, your mind follows your body's lead, and others respond accordingly. Projecting quiet confidence. Presence doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room. It means being the most centered. There's a reason people feel drawn to leaders who speak slowly and deliberately. The pace of your voice tells others how sure you are of your words. If you rush, you sound uncertain. If you pause, you sound powerful. The late Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations, embodied this beautifully. He spoke with calm authority, his words measured, his tone warm but firm. He once said, "You are never too small to make a difference." But more than his words, It was how he said them, with sincerity and peace, that made people listen. Quiet confidence doesn't demand the stage. It draws the stage toward you. Practical tools to develop presence. Let's make it practical, because presence can be learned and strengthened. 1. Master your eye contact. Hold eye contact just long enough to show connection, but not to the point of discomfort. The sweet spot? About 60 to 70% of the time during conversation. It signals confidence and attentiveness without intimidation. 2. Control your gestures. Your hands tell stories. Avoid fidgeting, crossing arms, or over-gesturing. Instead, use open, intentional hand movements that emphasize your points. Controlled gestures show control over your emotions. 3. Embrace stillness. In moments of silence, resist the urge to fill the space with nervous chatter. Stillness radiates authority. People equate calmness with competence. 4. Breathe with intention. Practice the 4-4-4 rule. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. Do this before entering important rooms. It centers your energy and slows your heartbeat, helping you project ease. 5. Focus on others, not yourself. The best presence isn't self-centered, it's other-centered. Shift your focus from how am I being perceived to how can I make this person feel comfortable? When you make others feel seen, they see you in the best light. Presence versus performance. True presence isn't performance. It's authenticity and focus. Pretending to be confident drains energy. But being confident comes from alignment. Your words, thoughts, and emotions moving in one direction. When your inner dialogue says, "I'm enough," it shows in your outer world. Presence is not a mask you wear. It's the real you, uncluttered by fear, doubt, or pretense. Think of any global leader, athlete, or artist you admire. The one thing they all have in common isn't perfection, it's composure. When chaos erupts, they breathe. When pressure builds, they pause. That's the essence of presence, grace under fire. And that's something every one of us can practice daily, in our homes, our work, and our relationships. Key takeaways for you. Presence is felt before it's seen. Your energy enters the room before you do. Calmness is confidence. Stillness commands more attention than noise. Authenticity wins. Pretending drains. Alignment attracts. Eye contact and breathing are your greatest nonverbal tools. Remember, the quietest person can still be the most powerful if their energy is grounded. As the philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, "What you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say." So, as you step into your next room, meeting, or opportunity, don't just prepare your words. Prepare your energy. Walk in not with the desire to impress, but with the intention to express. Because presence speaks louder than words, and confidence is always felt before it's seen. If this chapter helped you reflect on your own presence, take a moment to share it with someone who needs it. And remember, your growth inspires others. So, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing insights on human psychology, personal growth, and connection. Chapter 3. The Mirror Effect. How people feel seen. Have you ever met someone who, within moments, made you feel completely understood, like they just got you, even without saying much? You probably walked away thinking, there's something about that person. I don't know what it is, but I feel connected. That feeling isn't magic. It's psychology. And at the heart of it lies something called the mirror effect, the art of making people feel seen, heard, and understood. When you master this, you instantly become more likable, trustworthy, and memorable. People will naturally gravitate toward you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because they feel comfortable around you. The psychology of mirroring. Psychologists have long observed that humans are wired to connect through subtle imitation. It's part of our social DNA. When you smile, others feel compelled to smile back. When you nod as someone speaks, they feel encouraged to continue. When you mirror someone's tone, posture, or energy, their brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This unconscious synchronization creates trust and comfort. Daniel Goleman, in his book Social Intelligence, explained that mirroring is one of the ways our brains align emotionally. When someone mirrors us, it signals safety and similarity. We think they're like me, and people like those who are like them. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who shared your mannerisms or expressions without copying you directly? You felt a subtle connection, right? That's the mirror effect in action. The power of empathy and attentive listening. Mirroring goes beyond body language. It's also about emotional alignment, the ability to tune in to someone's feelings and reflect it back through your tone, words, and expressions. When you listen with genuine curiosity, not just waiting to speak but to understand, you create space for emotional connection. Empathy isn't about agreeing with everything someone says. It's about showing that you care enough to understand their perspective. Let's take a real-life example. When Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, met with grieving families after a national tragedy, she didn't speak much at first. She listened. She cried with them. She mirrored their pain with compassion, not politics. The world saw a leader who didn't just lead with authority, but with empathy. Her body language, facial expressions, and tone reflected genuine understanding. And because of that, she earned global respect as a symbol of compassionate leadership. That's the mirror effect, making people feel seen at their most human level. Subtle mimicry, connection without copying. Now, mirroring isn't about imitation, it's about resonance. You're not a mime or a reflection in glass. You're a person responding authentically to another person's rhythm. When you mirror someone subtly, they subconsciously feel harmony with you. This could mean matching their speaking pace, adapting your tone to their mood, using similar words or gestures naturally, reflecting their energy, calm when they're calm, enthusiastic when they're upbeat. Let's imagine a simple scenario. You're in a business meeting. The person across from you speaks slowly and thoughtfully. If you start talking rapidly and forcefully, the emotional rhythm clashes. But if you slow your pace, pause when they pause, and maintain steady eye contact, they'll feel you're on the same wavelength. The brain loves familiarity. When it senses alignment, it relaxes. That's the gateway to trust. Emotional validation, the heart of mirroring. People crave to be understood more than to be agreed with. When someone expresses frustration, instead of saying, "Don't be upset," try saying, "I can understand why that would be frustrating." That simple acknowledgement validates their emotion. It mirrors their internal state without judgment. Validation is like emotional oxygen. It keeps relationships alive. Consider Angela Merkel, the former Chancellor of Germany. She was often described as calm, rational, and deeply attentive in conversations. When leaders from across the world spoke to her, they felt heard. She didn't rush to respond. She listened carefully, validated their concerns, and responded with empathy grounded in reason. That's why she was nicknamed the world's listener. Mirroring others emotionally isn't about manipulation. It's about respect. When people feel that you've stepped into their emotional world, even briefly, you leave an imprint on their heart. Tone matching, the sound of connection. Your tone of voice is one of the fastest ways to build or break rapport. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian's communication study found that 38% of emotional meaning in communication comes from tone, not words. If someone speaks softly and you reply with a loud, intense tone, the mismatch can feel jarring. But when your tone matches theirs, warm, calm, understanding, it says, "I'm in sync with you." Imagine two instruments in harmony. When their frequencies align, the sound is beautiful. That's what tone matching does in human communication. If you've ever felt instantly comfortable talking to someone new, pay attention. Their tone probably mirrored yours. Practical exercises to build your mirror muscle. Observe before you respond. When meeting someone, take a few seconds to notice their posture, tone, and rhythm before speaking. Match it subtly. Listen with your face. Nod, smile, or use gentle expressions to show emotional engagement. Use reflection statements. When someone shares something, reflect back what you heard. For example, "It sounds like that was really challenging for you." Mirror emotions, not behavior. Focus on emotional tone, calm, joy, concern, rather than mimicking every gesture. Stay authentic. Mirroring should never feel forced. If you're genuinely present, your body naturally aligns with the other person. Why people remember you? People remember how you made them feel, not what you said. When you mirror someone's emotions and energy authentically, they walk away thinking, I like them, but I'm not sure why. Their subconscious recognized your empathy. This is why some of the most influential leaders, speakers, and mentors aren't the loudest or the smartest. They're the most emotionally attuned. They make others feel seen, safe, and valued. Mirroring transforms surface-level interactions into meaningful connections. It turns strangers into friends, clients into allies, and audiences into loyal supporters. Key takeaways for you. Mirroring is a subconscious psychological bridge that builds trust and connection. Empathy, tone matching, and emotional validation are the tools of authentic rapport. People don't crave perfection. They crave understanding. You don't need to agree with someone to make them feel valued. You only need to see them. The secret to being memorable is simple. Make others feel significant in your presence. In the words of author Stephen Covey, seek first to understand, then to be understood. When you live by that principle, your presence becomes magnetic, not because you're trying to impress, but because you've mastered the art of connection. So as you go about your day, practice the mirror effect. Listen deeply, match energy, validate emotions. Watch how your relationships transform and how people begin to light up in your presence. You won't just be heard, you'll be felt. If this chapter added value to you, remember to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us reach more people who are ready to grow, connect, and leave a lasting mark. Chapter 4. The Role of Authenticity. When you meet someone for the first time, your instinct might be to impress, to put on your best smile, say the right words, and project confidence. But here's the truth. People don't connect deeply with perfection. They connect with authenticity. We live in a world where filters, polished profiles, and rehearsed presentations are everywhere. Yet the people who leave the deepest impressions on us are rarely the most polished. They're the ones who are real, the ones who make us feel that what we see is truly who they are. Authenticity is magnetic because it communicates trust. And trust, in psychology, is the foundation of every meaningful connection, whether personal, professional, or public. Why authenticity attracts more than perfection. Psychologists describe authenticity as emotional congruence, the alignment between your inner world and your outer expression. It's when your words, tone, and actions speak the same truth. When you're authentic, people can sense it. They may not know exactly why, but your energy feels grounded. Your voice sounds natural. Your smile feels genuine. Your presence feels safe. Research published in the Journal of Positive Psychology found that people who are perceived as authentic are rated as more trustworthy, competent, and emotionally stable. Why? Because authenticity triggers a deep, subconscious sense of safety in others. Our brains are wired to trust people whose behaviors match their emotions. It signals that they have nothing to hide. Think of one of the most admired modern leaders in history, Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. Her leadership style was defined not by authority, but by empathy and openness. When her nation faced tragedy, she didn't hide behind protocol or power. She showed emotion, spoke directly to her people, and expressed genuine care. That display of humanity didn't make her weak. It made her unforgettable. She reminded the world that being authentic isn't about being flawless. It's about being real enough to be relatable and strong enough to be sincere. The psychology of trust formation. Let's go a little deeper. Trust forms when three things align: consistency, honesty, and vulnerability. When your behavior is consistent, people know what to expect from you. When your words are honest, they believe what you say. And when you show a touch of vulnerability, admitting you don't have all the answers or that you've made mistakes, they see your humanity. One of the most powerful ways to build trust quickly is to show small signs of imperfection. This is known as the pratfall effect, first described by social psychologist Elliot Aronson. He discovered that people who display minor flaws are often seen as more likable than those who appear perfect. So when you stumble on a word, laugh at yourself, or admit a small mistake, it doesn't ruin your impression, it enhances it, because it makes others feel comfortable being human around you. How to drop the social mask. Most of us wear masks, not because we want to deceive others, but because we fear rejection. We think if I show my real self, they might not like me. But the irony is that hiding your true self prevents the very connection you crave. Here's a simple exercise. Next time you meet someone, instead of trying to impress them, try to express yourself. If you're nervous, say something like, "I'm a little nervous, but I'm really excited to meet you." If you don't know something, simply say, "I'm not sure, but I'd love to learn." This level of openness doesn't show weakness. It shows confidence in your own humanity. Authenticity is not about saying everything that comes to mind. It's about speaking with integrity and emotional honesty. It's choosing realness over performance. As the writer Brené Brown beautifully put it in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. That daily practice is what transforms first impressions into lasting respect. Realness creates resonance. When you're authentic, you give others permission to be authentic too. You create a safe, emotional space where people can drop their guard. That's why authentic leaders, teachers, and friends tend to inspire loyalty. Not because they have perfect resumes, but because they resonate emotionally. Think of how a musician touches you when their song comes from a place of truth. The melody may be simple, but the emotion behind it reaches you. The same is true in human interaction. Realness creates resonance. Authenticity amplifies your presence. It's the invisible quality that turns a casual conversation into a meaningful connection, a handshake into trust, and a brief meeting into a lasting memory. Practical ways to strengthen authenticity. Here are a few practical habits to build authenticity into your daily interactions. Check your alignment. Before speaking, pause and ask, do my words match how I feel? Emotional congruence strengthens credibility. Replace performance with presence. Focus less on impressing and more on connecting. When you truly listen, people feel it. Own your story. Be comfortable sharing where you've failed and what you've learned. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's wisdom in motion. Drop comparison. Authenticity fades when you measure yourself against others. The most attractive energy is self-acceptance. Stay consistent. When your character remains the same in public and private, people trust you, even when you're not around. During a global crisis, one European leader, known for her scientific background, became an emblem of calm honesty. Instead of sugarcoating the truth, she spoke to her citizens like a friend, using simple, direct language. She admitted what she didn't know and explained every step with transparency. That blend of competence and sincerity made people trust her, even in uncertainty. Her leadership showed that authenticity isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it through truth. Why being real is the fastest way to be remembered. In psychology, memory is linked to emotion. People remember how you made them feel, not how perfectly you presented yourself. When you show your real self, people feel something: warmth, safety, relatability. And that emotional spark etches you in their memory. So, if you want to leave a lasting mark, don't hide behind perfection. Be human enough to be felt. Key takeaways for you. Authenticity builds instant trust faster than perfection ever could. Emotional congruence, when words, tone, and actions align, creates credibility. Small imperfections make you relatable and memorable. Vulnerability opens doors that confidence alone cannot. Realness resonates. It turns meetings into memories. In a world obsessed with performance, authenticity is rebellion, and connection is the reward. The people who leave a lasting mark are not the ones who pretend to be perfect, but the ones who have the courage to be real, consistent, and kind. Remember, your authenticity is your signature. No one else can copy it. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Let's continue this journey of self-mastery together. one genuine connection at a time. Chapter 5. The Halo Effect. How one trait shapes everything. Have you ever met someone and instantly felt they were intelligent, kind, or trustworthy, even before they said more than a few words? Maybe it was the way they smiled, the calm in their voice, or the confidence in their posture. That invisible pull you felt wasn't luck or intuition alone. It's called the halo effect, one of the most fascinating psychological biases that shapes how we see and are seen. Psychologists first identified this phenomenon in the early 1900s. It describes our mind's tendency to let one noticeable positive trait color our entire perception of a person. If someone seems warm and charming, we subconsciously assume they're also smart, reliable, and capable, even if we have no evidence. The opposite is also true. A negative first impression can shadow everything else a person does, no matter their actual skill or character. Think about it. You see a well-dressed individual walking into a meeting, shoulders straight, smiling politely, making effortless eye contact. Before they even speak, something inside you whispers, "This person knows what they're doing." That's the halo effect in motion, a silent shortcut your brain takes to save energy in judging others. But here's the empowering truth. Once you understand the halo effect, you can use it to create powerful, genuine first impressions that open doors and inspire trust. The psychology behind it. Our brains are wired to seek safety and efficiency. Every time we meet someone new, our subconscious mind scans for cues. Are they safe? Are they competent? Do they have good intentions? Because we can't process every detail instantly, we rely on surface signals, posture, tone, facial expressions to make that judgment. That's why appearance, voice, and warmth matter so much. They're the wrapping that influences whether people ever bother to open the gift inside you. One positive trait can light up the entire image people hold of you. And that's what great leaders, speakers, and connectors understand instinctively. A story of the halo in action. Let's consider a world leader known for uniting people through grace and diplomacy. When this leader first stepped onto the global stage, they didn't command attention through force or loudness. It was their composure, that calm confidence, and sincere smile that made the world listen. Reporters often remarked how their tone of voice carried respect, not just for allies, but even for critics. This warmth created a halo of trust and reliability that made negotiations smoother and nations more open to dialogue. People saw kindness first and assumed competence followed. And in their case, that assumption proved right. That's the power of the halo effect. When one admirable trait shines bright enough, it lights up everything else about you. Why it works in everyday life. This doesn't only happen on world stages, it happens in daily encounters. At a job interview, a calm handshake and a genuine smile can make the interviewer assume you're confident and capable. When a teacher greets students warmly, the class automatically perceives them as patient and understanding. When someone maintains eye contact and listens intently, others assume they're trustworthy, even before they've spoken much. Our first few seconds with people set emotional anchors. After that, most of what we do either confirms or slightly modifies that first emotional impression. Rarely do we completely change it. That's why some people always seem to get lucky. They've simply learned to trigger positive halos consistently. How to intentionally trigger positive halos. So how can you create that invisible glow that makes people believe in you almost instantly? Let's break it down into 3 powerful traits: warmth, competence, and credibility. 1. Warmth. Warmth is your emotional handshake. It's how people feel around you. A smile that reaches your eyes, a calm tone, open body language, and genuine curiosity about others all signal warmth. Warmth says, "You are safe with me." And safety is the foundation of connection. People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou. 2. Competence. Competence is about confidence, not arrogance. It's conveyed through clarity of speech, organized thoughts, and calm assurance. You don't need to prove you're smart. You just need to show that you believe in your ability. When you speak clearly, maintain eye contact, and carry yourself with intention, people see you as competent before they even evaluate your skills. 3. Credibility. Credibility is the bridge between warmth and competence. It's built through consistency, being the same person in private and in public, keeping your word, and showing emotional control. When your actions match your promises, your halo becomes permanent. And that's the secret to leaving a lasting mark. Alignment between who you are and how you appear. Think of a leader known for rebuilding their nation after turmoil. Someone who stood tall even when everything seemed broken. When they spoke, their voice carried empathy. When they appeared, their presence radiated calm assurance. Even those who disagreed with their politics couldn't deny their dignity. Their halo wasn't built on perfection. It was built on consistency. That single quality of steadfast composure made people perceive them as both moral and capable, inspiring millions. That's the halo effect, alive and visible across history and in our own daily lives. Practical exercise, the mirror of perception. Here's a simple coaching exercise you can try today. Stand in front of a mirror. Look at yourself not as you, but as someone meeting you for the first time. Ask, do I look approachable? Does my posture show confidence or tension? Is there warmth in my face? Would I trust this person? Record yourself speaking for 30 seconds. Listen not for words, but for tone. Does it sound warm, calm, and confident? Tiny adjustments, a softer smile, slower pace, open shoulders, can completely change the way people feel in your presence. Because remember, people judge the whole you by the first thing they notice about you. Key takeaways for you. The halo effect is the brain's shortcut. One good trait can define your entire image. Warmth, competence, and credibility are the 3 pillars of a positive halo. You don't need perfection. You need alignment. Your tone, body, and intention must match. People decide how they feel about you long before they understand you. Be mindful of what your presence says before your words even begin. Every encounter you have, at work, online, in passing, is an opportunity to create a halo that speaks before you do. When you intentionally project warmth and authenticity, people not only listen to you, they feel you. And that feeling is what lingers long after the moment is gone. So, take control of your own halo. Make your presence a message of respect, calm, and confidence. Let the first thing people see be the truest part of you. If this chapter helped you see the hidden power of first impressions, take a moment to support this journey. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more powerful lessons on human psychology and personal growth. Your growth inspires others, and that's the most beautiful halo of all. Chapter 6, Verbal Charisma, Speaking to Influence. Have you ever listened to someone speak, and before you even understood their words, you already felt moved? That's the silent magic of verbal charisma, the power to use your voice, tone, and rhythm to influence emotions and command attention. Most people think charisma is about being loud or funny or having the perfect words. But the truth is, charisma lives in the sound between your words, in your tone, in your pacing, in the subtle warmth that flows from your voice. Psychologists call it tone psychology. It's how our voices subconsciously communicate emotion, trust, and confidence, often far more than our words ever do. According to the Moravian rule, only 7% of communication impact comes from actual words. 55% comes from body language. And 38%, a full third, comes from tone of voice. That means how you sound shapes how others feel about you, even before they fully process what you're saying. The voice that shapes perception. Think of a great world leader who spoke softly but powerfully, one who didn't need to shout to move nations. When she spoke, her tone carried warmth and authority at once. Her pauses were intentional. Her rhythm was calm, deliberate, almost poetic. That kind of control over voice turns words into an emotional experience. This is what verbal charisma is all about, not performing but connecting. It's learning to speak in a way that makes people's hearts listen, not just their ears. The psychology of tone. Your tone is a mirror of your inner state. If you're nervous, it trembles. If you're angry, it sharpens. But when you're centered, when your words flow from calm conviction, people feel that too. Neuroscience shows that our brains unconsciously mimic the emotional tone we hear. If your voice carries tension, the listener's body mirrors that tension. If your voice carries warmth and steadiness, they relax and trust you. That's why emotionally intelligent speakers don't just manage their words, they manage their energy. Before they speak, they breathe. They ground themselves. They speak through calm, not through fear. Vocal warmth and rhythm. Let's break this down practically. Vocal warmth comes from your intention to connect, not impress. When you genuinely want the other person to feel at ease, your tone naturally softens. Your voice becomes rounder, slower, more human. Great communicators use rhythm like musicians. They know when to pause, because silence gives words weight. They know when to speed up, because momentum carries emotion. And they know when to slow down, because wisdom needs space to land. Imagine a speaker who rushes through every sentence, barely breathing. It feels anxious, right? Now imagine one who speaks slowly, allowing each idea to sink in. You feel calm, attentive, safe. That's the difference between talking to inform and speaking to influence. The art of the pause. One of the most overlooked secrets of verbal charisma is the pause. A pause isn't a silence of confusion. It's a silence of power. It allows your listener to digest what you've said. It shows confidence that you're not afraid of quiet. The best speakers use pauses the way artists use space to frame their message. A thoughtful pause before your main point makes it sound important. A short silence after a key sentence lets it echo in your listener's mind. Try this in your next conversation. After saying something meaningful, count 2 seconds silently. Don't rush to fill the gap. Watch how it transforms the attention in a room. Emotional words, emotional connection. Words are the brushstrokes, but emotion is the color. Emotional language helps your audience feel your ideas, not just understand them. Instead of saying, "We need to make progress," say, "Let's take bold steps forward." Instead of saying, "This matters," say, "This can change everything." Emotion makes your voice memorable. This doesn't mean you exaggerate. It means you humanize. You speak as though your words carry weight, because they do. A classic book that highlights this is Talk Like Ted by Carmine Gallo. He studied some of the most popular speakers in the world and found that every one of them used emotional storytelling, vocal variety, and warmth as their secret tools of influence. Not one relied on facts alone, because facts inform, but emotion transforms. The science of vocal variety. Monotone voices lose attention in seconds. Vocal variety, the dance between high and low, fast and slow, keeps the brain awake. Psychologically, our attention spikes when we detect changes in sound. So when you modulate your tone, you guide your listener's emotions. A lower tone signals authority. A softer tone signals intimacy. A faster rhythm creates excitement. A slower rhythm builds trust. Try thinking of your voice like a musical instrument. Don't just play one note. Play a melody that moves people. Think about a leader who faced global challenges and yet inspired millions with calm assurance. Their voice was never frantic, never theatrical. It carried steadiness, a rhythm that said, "I am here. I believe. And you can too." What made their words powerful wasn't vocabulary, but presence in the voice. That's what people remember. Not the speech, but the feeling. Practicing verbal charisma. Let's make this practical for you. Here's a short exercise. Record your voice while reading something aloud. Play it back and listen without judgment. Notice your tone. Is it rushed, flat, or tense? Try again, but this time breathe deeper, slow down, and imagine you're speaking to someone you truly care about. Feel the difference. When you speak with intention instead of performance, your voice transforms. Key takeaways for you. Tone reveals emotion faster than words reveal meaning. Warmth and calm build trust instantly. Pauses are powerful. Silence makes words shine. Emotion in speech creates memory. Your voice is your emotional fingerprint. Refine it. Remember, how you say it often matters more than what you say. Your voice is not just sound. It's your energy in motion. If you master verbal charisma, you no longer compete for attention. You command it through presence and sincerity. People will listen not because you speak loudly, but because your voice carries truth, care, and conviction. So before your next conversation, meeting, or presentation, pause for a moment. Breathe. Center yourself. Then speak. Not to impress, but to connect. Because connection is the real power behind influence. And your voice is the bridge. If you found value in this chapter, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Every time you do, it helps this audiobook reach someone who needs to learn the same power of authentic communication, and it encourages us to create more episodes that help you grow. Speak with intention. Speak with heart. And watch how your voice begins to move. Chapter 7, Emotional Intelligence and Social Awareness. Imagine walking into a room full of people you've never met. Some are loud, some are silent, some smile politely, others look distracted. Now pause for a moment before you say a word. Can you sense the mood of that room? That invisible sensing, that ability to read energy, emotion, and atmosphere is what emotional intelligence is all about. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, is the quiet strength behind lasting influence. It's not about how much you know, but how well you understand yourself and others. We often admire people who seem to remain calm in chaos, who speak gently yet command attention, who disagree without disrespect. These are the people who master emotional intelligence, and in doing so, they master themselves. The hidden power of EQ. Psychologists Daniel Goleman and Richard Boyatzis, in the book Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, revealed that EQ often predicts success better than raw intelligence or technical skill. Why? Because emotion drives people, not logic. Your emotions shape your decisions, tone, and timing. They guide how others perceive you, trust you, and respond to you. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's direction. It's knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when silence says more than words ever could. The calm in the storm. Let's consider the example of Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany. For over a decade, she led through some of the most turbulent political storms in modern history. Economic crises, global negotiations, and unpredictable alliances. Yet what made her so respected wasn't fiery speeches or charisma. It was composure. She rarely reacted emotionally, even under pressure. Observers often described her as analytical, patient, and quietly firm. Merkel listened before she spoke. She read the room and the emotions in it before deciding her response. That's emotional control in action. That's social power without loudness. Her leadership proves something vital. When you can manage your emotions, you can manage moments, and moments shape relationships, reputations, and results. Understanding emotional triggers. Think about your own life. How many times have you reacted instantly, only to regret your words later? Maybe you snapped in anger during a disagreement, or maybe you shut down when someone criticized you. Emotional intelligence starts with self-awareness, recognizing your emotional triggers before they control you. When you feel angry, pause. When you feel defensive, breathe. When you feel unheard, listen. These small pauses are not weakness, they are mastery. As the ancient philosopher Lao Tzu once said, "He who conquers others is strong, but he who conquers himself is mighty." You don't need to control the world, only your reactions to it. Reading others quickly and accurately. Now let's talk about the second layer of EQ, social awareness. Social awareness is your ability to read others' emotions and adapt your approach. It's observing the tone behind the words, the emotion behind the face, and the intent behind the silence. Let's take Jacinda Ardern, former Prime Minister of New Zealand. After a national tragedy struck her country, her first response wasn't a press conference filled with politics. It was empathy. She wore compassion like armor. Her voice was calm, her tone sincere, and her actions mirrored the grief of her people. In that moment, she became a symbol of emotional leadership. That's the essence of social awareness, understanding what others need emotionally before deciding what to say or do. You could develop this skill in daily life too. When someone speaks, listen not just to their words, but their rhythm. Watch their eyes. Are they tired, excited, nervous? Notice body language. Are they leaning in, crossing arms, fidgeting, or relaxed? The most emotionally intelligent people are emotional detectives, quietly observing clues most people overlook. Here are 3 powerful exercises you can begin using today. The pause practice: every time you feel triggered, stop for 5 seconds before responding. Count in your head, breathe, and then reply. You'll be surprised how many misunderstandings dissolve in that tiny moment of awareness. Mirror the emotion, not the words. When someone expresses frustration or sadness, mirror their emotional tone before offering advice. Say things like, "That sounds really difficult," or "I can imagine that was painful." People don't need you to fix them. They need you to feel them. Emotional check-ins once a day. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? Naming your emotion reduces its power over you. Awareness breeds control. Staying calm, observant, and adaptable. Emotionally intelligent people don't chase every emotional wave, they surf it. Imagine you're in a team meeting. Tension rises, voices overlap, and frustration fills the air. An emotionally reactive person jumps in, try to prove their point. An emotionally intelligent person observes first. They notice who's anxious, who's defensive, and who's quietly holding back. Then, they choose their words with care. Adaptability doesn't mean pretending. It means adjusting your tone and energy to match the moment. Think of Queen Elizabeth II during times of national uncertainty. She often spoke with calm steadiness, offering reassurance instead of reaction. Her emotional restraint built decades of respect and trust. She wasn't the loudest in a room. She was the most emotionally fluent. The social power of calm. People are naturally drawn to those who remain steady in storms. Why? Because calmness feels safe. And when people feel safe around you, they open up. That's how influence works, not by intimidation, but by emotional regulation. Next time you're in a heated conversation, remember this. You don't need to win the moment. You only need to manage the emotion. As Goleman wrote, emotional self-control, delaying impulse, is the root of every achievement. Key takeaways for you. Emotional intelligence is the art of mastering your inner world so you can navigate the outer one with grace. Self-awareness turns reaction into response. Social awareness turns observation into understanding. Emotional regulation turns conflict into connection. The most likable people are emotionally fluent, not emotionally loud. In a world full of noise, be the calm voice. In a room full of emotion, be the steady heart. And in a crowd full of egos, be the one who listens, understands, and uplifts. That's true emotional power, quiet, steady, and unforgettable. If this chapter helped you understand yourself and others better, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs more calm and connection, and subscribe to the channel for more life-changing audiobooks just like this one. Because the more we grow emotionally, the better our world becomes, one calm, conscious moment at a time. Chapter 8. The Role of Appearance and Grooming. There's an unspoken truth about the world we live in. People see you before they hear you. Before you open your mouth, before you share your story, before your brilliance unfolds, your appearance has already whispered something about you. That whisper can either open doors or quietly close them. That's why appearance and grooming are not about vanity. They're about communication. Psychologists call it visual priming. It's the human brain's way of forming quick judgments based on visual cues. Studies show that within 1/10 of a second, people begin to decide whether someone is confident, trustworthy, or competent, all based on what they see. So today, let's explore how your visual presentation influences trust, attraction, and credibility. We'll uncover how to dress for context, culture, and confidence, not vanity, and how color, scent, and personal style silently express who you are. Let's begin. The psychology behind appearance. Our brain is wired to process visuals faster than words. When you walk into a room, Your appearance sends an instant message that says, "This is who I am. This is how I see myself." And the people around you, they respond to that message. If you appear careless, they may assume you're careless in your work. If you appear composed, they'll believe you handle life with control. If you appear refined, they'll assume you make refined decisions. This isn't about being fake. It's about being intentional. The way you present yourself tells the world how to treat you. It tells people what to expect before they even know you. Think about leaders throughout history, not the ones we've mentioned before, but others who understood this language of appearance. Consider Queen Elizabeth II, for example. Every outfit she wore was a calculated expression of presence. Her bright colors weren't random. They ensured that crowds could see her from afar. Her pearl necklace, her neatly styled hair, those were signals of discipline, dignity, and respect for the people she represented. Without uttering a word, she communicated stability and continuity. Or look at Nelson Mandela's successor in moral dignity, the Dalai Lama. His simple maroon robes symbolize humility, devotion, and detachment from materialism. When he steps into a room, his very clothing speaks of calmness and peace. The lesson is simple. Your appearance can amplify your message or contradict it. Dressing for context, culture, and confidence. There's no universal rule for dressing well. What works in a boardroom might not work in a creative studio. What's impressive at a gala may seem excessive at a coffee shop. True style is not about expensive clothes. It's about contextual intelligence. It's understanding the environment you're in and adjusting your visual tone accordingly. Confidence doesn't come from the brand you wear. It comes from alignment, when how you look, how you feel, and what you stand for are in harmony. If you wear something that feels unnatural, even if it's expensive, your body will give away your discomfort. You'll tug at your sleeves, shift your weight, or avoid eye contact. But when you wear what makes you feel authentic and present, your confidence radiates effortlessly. And that confidence is magnetic. A quote from Amy Cuddy's book Presence fits perfectly here. When you pretend to be powerful, you're more likely to actually feel powerful. In other words, your appearance can influence your inner state. Dressing with care doesn't just change how others see you, it changes how you see yourself. Grooming, the subtle power of details. It's often the smallest things that speak the loudest. Clean nails, fresh breath, a neat hairstyle, well-maintained shoes. These quiet details tell others that you respect yourself, and by extension, that you'll respect them. Grooming is an act of self-respect made visible. When you take care of your appearance, you communicate reliability and attention to detail without uttering a word. Imagine a diplomat stepping up to a global summit with a wrinkled suit and unkempt hair. Even before they speak, credibility begins to fade. Now imagine another who walks in composed, tidy, and polished. Their presence alone inspires trust. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being presentable. It's about showing that you care enough to show up well. The psychology of colors and scent. Every color you wear carries a message. Blue often communicates calmness and trust. Black conveys authority and sophistication. White represents purity, simplicity, and honesty. Red signals energy, boldness, and confidence. Green reflects balance and harmony. You can use these associations to your advantage, not to manipulate, but to reinforce the message you want to send. For instance, wearing soft colors in a sensitive meeting can make you appear more approachable, while darker tones may strengthen perceptions of authority during negotiations. And then, there's scent, the most underrated layer of appearance. Scent is deeply tied to memory. People may forget your words, but they'll remember how they felt in your presence. A clean, subtle fragrance can become your invisible signature. It evokes memory, calm, and connection. One psychological study from the Journal of Social Psychology found that pleasant scents can unconsciously improve others' perception of your personality traits. It's proof that what we smell, just like what we see, influences how we feel about people. Personal style, a silent signal of identity. Your personal style is your visual fingerprint. It doesn't have to fit a trend, it has to fit you. Great leaders and innovators develop a recognizable style not out of vanity, but out of clarity. Consider Steve Jobs, whose black turtleneck became a symbol of simplicity and focus. His choice wasn't about fashion. It was about freeing mental energy for creativity. Style is not about how much you own. It's about what message your look sends to the world. When your appearance matches your message, you become memorable. When your grooming reflects self-respect, people trust you faster. When your colors and presence align with your purpose, you become magnetic. Key takeaways for you. Your appearance speaks before you do. It tells your story in silence. Dress for context, not for attention. Grooming is not vanity. It's visible self-respect. Colors, scent, and details shape how others feel around you. You don't need to be rich to look like you respect yourself. You only need intention. Remember, the goal is not perfection, but presentation with purpose. When you take charge of your appearance, you take charge of your first impression. There's a reason the world remembers people who walk with quiet confidence. Their presence speaks a language everyone understands. When you show up looking like you value yourself, the world begins to value you too. Because people don't just see your clothes, they see the energy you carry in them. If you found value in this chapter, don't keep it to yourself, share it. Like this audiobook, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment about what lesson resonated most with you today. Your growth journey doesn't end here. Every like, share, and comment helps more people discover the tools to build confidence, presence, and self-worth, just like you're doing right now. Chapter 9. The Lasting Impression. Memory, Emotion, and Closure. Have you ever noticed that sometimes the last few seconds of an interaction are what stay with you the longest? You may not recall every word from a conversation, but you'll remember how the person made you feel when it ended. That's the quiet power of the lasting impression, and understanding it can transform how people remember you. In psychology, there's a fascinating principle known as the recency effect. It suggests that people tend to remember the most recent part of an experience more vividly than the earlier parts. In other words, the last few moments of a conversation, meeting, or encounter play an outsized role in shaping someone's overall memory of you. If your first impression sets the stage, your final impression seals the performance. And together, they form the emotional bookends of human connection. The psychology of emotional peaks and endings. In his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, psychologist Daniel Kahneman explains something called the peak-end rule. It's a simple yet powerful concept. People judge an experience largely based on how they felt at its emotional peak and how it ended, not the sum of every moment. This means that if you want to be remembered positively, you must learn to close moments with warmth, grace, and purpose. Think about a great speech you once heard. You may not recall all the details, but you probably remember the final line, the one that moved you, inspired you, or left you thinking long after the applause faded. That's not coincidence. It's design. Consider Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. Whether one agreed with her politics or not, her leadership was often praised for her emotional intelligence and the way she closed moments. When she stepped down from office, she didn't just announce her resignation. She expressed heartfelt gratitude, humility, and care for her people. She spoke of love, exhaustion, and the importance of knowing when to step aside. That speech became one of her most remembered moments, not because of the policies she mentioned, but because of the emotional sincerity she ended with. She reminded the world that vulnerability, when expressed with honesty, is strength. And that's the key to leaving a lasting emotional imprint. Why endings matter more than we think. Our brains are wired to compress long experiences into short, emotional summaries. Think of a movie you loved. You might have enjoyed every scene, but if the ending disappointed you, the whole experience felt tainted. Likewise, even if an interaction starts awkwardly, a warm and thoughtful goodbye can redeem it completely. The way you in a moment tells people how much they matter to you. Whether it's a handshake after a meeting, a final email in a project, or the closing of a friendship, people remember how you made them feel in the final stretch. It's like emotional punctuation. A harsh period can end things coldly, but a warm exclamation mark leaves energy behind. The art of ending conversations on a warm note. So, how can you end well every time? Let's walk through 3 simple but powerful habits. End with gratitude. Gratitude is the universal connector. It communicates humility and respect. Instead of simply saying, "It was nice meeting you," try something deeper like, "I really appreciate the time you shared. It gave me a lot to think about." Gratitude makes people feel valued, and people always remember those who make them feel seen. End with humor. A lighthearted comment or gentle laugh can turn a neutral interaction into a memorable one. Humor disarms tension and replaces formality with warmth. But remember, keep it natural, not forced. The goal is not to entertain, it's to humanize. End with purpose. This means closing with direction or intention. Instead of letting conversations fade, anchor them with a clear next step. Let's continue this idea next week. I'll send you that article. It reminds me of our discussion. Purpose tells the other person you care about continuing connection. Each of these endings leaves a residue, an invisible echo that follows you after you're gone. When Queen Elizabeth II met with global leaders or ordinary citizens, she had a signature way of saying farewell. Her demeanor was calm, kind, and slightly understated, but always accompanied by genuine attention. Those who met her often said the same thing. She made me feel like I was the only person in the room. She rarely used grand gestures or flowery words. But in those final moments, her gaze, her smile, and her patience created an unforgettable sense of significance. She didn't just end meetings, she closed them with dignity. That's the power of emotional closure. It's not in the words, it's in the feeling they carry. Memory, emotion, and the human heart. Our memories are emotional before they are factual. The brain's limbic system, the emotional center, is what determines what we store and what we forget. When someone leaves us feeling inspired, respected, or valued, the memory gets stored deeper. That's why teachers who encouraged us, mentors who believed in us, or strangers who smiled at us linger in our minds for years. They weren't perfect. They were emotionally present. So, the next time you end a conversation, ask yourself, how do I want this person to feel when I walk away? That single question can change the quality of your interactions forever. Let's make this practical. Think of the last 5 interactions you had, at work, at home, online, or in public. How did each one end? Did you leave people feeling uplifted, neutral, or dismissed? If you can start ending every encounter with intention, you'll notice a remarkable shift. People will begin to greet you differently next time. You'll earn silent respect. You'll feel lighter, too, because the energy you leave behind always finds its way back. The lasting impression isn't about being impressive. It's about being impactful. Key takeaways for you. The recency effect. People remember how interactions end more than how they begin. The peak end rule. Emotional highs and closing moments shape memories. End with warmth. Gratitude, humor, and purpose are your secret tools. Presence over perfection. The most lasting impressions come from sincerity, not strategy. Emotional closure. Always leave people feeling seen, heard, or uplifted. Every conversation, every meeting, every moment of connection is a story, and how you end that story defines whether it will be remembered or forgotten. Speak with purpose. Listen with empathy. End with heart. Because at the end of the day, people will forget your exact words, your perfect phrasing, and your clever lines. But as Maya Angelou so beautifully said, people will never forget how you made them feel. That's the real psychology of lasting impressions. If this chapter helped you reflect on how you connect and communicate, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more life-changing lessons that help you grow, lead, and connect with confidence. Because every great impression begins and ends with you. Chapter 10. Mastering the Psychology of Connection. When you walk into a room, people feel something before you speak, before you smile, before you even sit down. That feeling is the echo of your presence, the reflection of your self-awareness, and the outcome of everything we've discussed so far. Mastering the psychology of connection is not about being perfect. It's about being aligned, aligning who you are, how you act, and how you make others feel. When these three elements move in harmony, you become unforgettable. Let's bring together everything we've learned: presence, authenticity, empathy, and expression into one powerful framework you can apply to your life right now. Step 1. Cultivate presence. Be fully there. Presence is not about being loud. It's about being awake in the moment. In a world full of distractions, real presence has become rare and therefore magnetic. When you truly listen, when you make eye contact, when you don't rush to speak, people feel seen. They feel like they matter. Think of Angela Merkel, former Chancellor of Germany. She was known for her calm, composed presence, not flashy, not theatrical, but deeply attentive. Whether she was in a room with global leaders or ordinary citizens, she had one powerful habit. She listened completely before she spoke. That quiet presence made her one of the most respected figures in modern politics. Presence communicates respect, and respect opens the door to connection. Next time you're in conversation, silence your inner voice that wants to respond. Instead, listen as if the other person is the only one in the world. You'll notice how much people open up when they feel your full attention. Step 2. Lead with authenticity. Be real, not polished. Authenticity is what turns an encounter into a memory. When you remove the mask of perfection and speak from your genuine self, people remember you not for your words, but for your sincerity. Consider Jacinda Ardern, the former Prime Minister of New Zealand. Her leadership style was defined by compassion and transparency. In times of crisis, she didn't try to appear invincible. She showed humanity. She cried. She comforted. She listened. And that realness created a deep emotional bond with people around the world. As Brené Brown wrote in her book, Daring Greatly, authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be and embracing who we are. Authenticity isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. When people feel your truth, they trust you. Start replacing phrases like, "I'm fine," with honest reflections. "It's been a challenging day, but I'm managing." That small act of honesty builds genuine bridges. Step 3. Practice empathy. Step into their world. Empathy is the heartbeat of connection. It means momentarily stepping out of your shoes and walking in someone else's. Great communicators don't just hear, they feel. Think of Princess Diana, known as the People's Princess. She broke royal tradition not through words, but through touch, hugging AIDS patients at a time when the world was filled with fear. That single act of empathy changed global perceptions about compassion and humanity. That's the psychology of connection at work. Emotion over status, heart over hierarchy. Empathy doesn't say, "I understand you." It says, "You're not alone." Before every conversation, silently ask yourself, what might this person be feeling right now? It shifts your focus from performance to connection. Step 4. Express yourself with warmth and clarity. Expression is where everything comes together: your tone, your words, your body language. Psychologists have long observed that communication is 7% words, 38% tone, and 55% body language. That means your voice and gestures tell your story before your sentences do. Think of Martin Luther King Jr. His speeches weren't powerful because of vocabulary alone, but because of emotion, conviction, and rhythm. His tone carried purpose. His words carried vision. People forget information, but they remember inspiration. When your voice reflects sincerity and your body language mirrors calm confidence, you make people feel safe in your presence. And safety is the foundation of trust. Record yourself speaking for 2 minutes on a topic you love. Watch it back. Not to judge, but to observe. Is your tone inviting? Does your face express warmth? Practice until your voice feels like a smile. Step 5. Reflect on the impression you leave behind. Now, let's pause for reflection. What impression do you leave behind after a conversation? Do people feel inspired, drained, or uplifted after meeting you? We all leave invisible footprints on the hearts of others. Every interaction, big or small, is an opportunity to shape how we're remembered. Ask yourself these 3 questions. Did I make others feel important? Did I make them feel comfortable being themselves? Did I leave them better than I found them? Connection isn't about how many people you meet. It's about how deeply you impact the few you truly engage with. Step 6. Continuous practice and personal evolution. Connection is not a one-time skill. It's a lifelong practice. You won't always get it right. There will be days when you're distracted, tired, or misunderstood, and that's okay. The goal is not to be flawless. The goal is to be aware. Each conversation, each introduction, each smile is a chance to refine your emotional intelligence and grow your humanity. As the author Stephen Covey wrote in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, seek first to understand, then to be understood. That is the essence of connection. Understanding before responding, listening before advising, feeling before reacting. Over time, these small habits compound into something extraordinary, an aura that draws people in effortlessly. Key takeaways for you. Presence. Be fully there. Attention is the purest form of respect. Authenticity. Drop the act. Realness builds trust faster than perfection. Empathy. Feel what others feel. Connection starts where judgment ends. Expression. Speak with warmth. Your tone shapes the emotional memory. Reflection. Ask yourself daily, what emotional footprint am I leaving? Evolution. Connection is a living skill. Practice it every day. Imagine a world where every encounter you have, from a stranger at a bus stop to a boardroom meeting, becomes an exchange of genuine energy. A world where you don't chase attention, but attract it through authenticity and grace. That's the world you build when you master the psychology of connection. You don't need to force people to remember you. Your presence, your kindness, and your energy will do that naturally. So from today, walk into every room as someone who listens deeply, speaks truthfully, and leaves others feeling valued. That's not just how you connect instantly. That's how you leave a lasting mark. Take a moment and think back to everyone you've met in your life. Some faces fade with time, but a few stay. Not because of what they wore or what they said, but because of how they made you feel. That is the power of first impressions. Throughout this audiobook, you've discovered that connection isn't a gift reserved for the charismatic or the famous. It's a skill, a mindset, a daily practice. And now, you hold the tools to use it with intention. When you walk into a room, your presence speaks before your words. When you express yourself with honesty, your authenticity builds trust. When you listen with empathy, your energy becomes unforgettable. Remember this truth. Every encounter is a mirror reflecting who you are becoming. The impression you leave on others is a reflection of the impression you've made on yourself. You don't need to try to be impressive. You only need to be aligned. Aligned with your values, your emotions, your words, and your purpose. Because when who you are, how you act, and how you make others feel exist in harmony, you become magnetic. You become memorable. You become the kind of person who walks into a room and changes its energy entirely. So as you step forward from this moment, carry this awareness into your daily life. Speak with warmth. Listen with your heart. Move with intention. And let every impression you make remind the world of the quiet power of authenticity. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the psychology of first impressions, how to connect instantly and leave a lasting mark. If this audiobook inspired you, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel because your support helps us create more empowering, life-changing audiobooks just like this one. And remember, every day is a new chance to meet someone, connect deeply, and leave behind something priceless, a piece of your humanity. Until next time, be genuine, be kind, and leave your mark, not just on minds, but on hearts.